Report of the Financial Administrative Ad Hoc Committee.
Excuse me, Chair Cashman. We do also need to
this one.
where you want us to.
No, he just put him in this one.
Okay. Yes, that's, thank you. And that,
Yes, honestly, I believe switching to the second and fourth now is a conflict here, so we actually don't have a choice but to find another
well, let's talk about that. We have the high school because we don't want to buy microphones, or we have the high school because that's the best place for the public to come. Okay. Well, it's a theater. So, okay. But anyway, we're going to direct staff to find a place for us, and is the high school sort of general concerns?
I have concerns about the parking at the high school. There's limited parking in front, if you want to call along Canyon the front. I'm always confused about the high school. But assuming Canyon is the front of the high school, there's very limited parking. Would they leave that adjacent parking lot where the students park further west on Canyon open for us? And there's very little handicapped. I think what we'd have to do is make all the parking in the diagonal parking in front in the pull-through driveway handicapped in order to make sure we could accommodate people, because they certainly may not, I don't think they could walk from the student parking clear over. That's my concerns about the high school. And also, would we have people parking on adjacent residential streets? And would that upset neighbors if that were to happen?
We already put no parking
Well,
signs
those
up.
sounds like the kind of things that probably maybe the staff could sort through. And if it's not feasible to do it because of parking problems and handicap spaces, they could come back and book another school for us.
So, Chairman, in the direction from council would be that the high school would be the preferred place potentially, or
Yes.
because if we're not going to meet here again, then we do need a number one choice, whether it's the interim city hall meeting, or do you want to rate these by, I hate to bring this up, a first choice or an alternate choice?
Okay, we can do that. So what's our first choice here?
Or add a little bit of discussion here then, because I'm still confused on the whole part. I understand the high school, we may be able to get that waived, but the middle schools and the elementary schools, we may not be there yet. So I would say if that is still the case, then we need to look at somewhere other than a school for our second choice. Am I correct, Julie? I'm not sure that I actually understood the hold harmless.
Well, I think you haven't confirmed that, but let's say if insurance could be overcome and that was not an issue, and we'll proceed with understanding that that's council's desire, that then what would your first and second choices be?
Okay, so let's hear suggestions for first and second choice.
What about David A. Brown?
David A. Brown's been suggested.
I would still continue with Elsinore High School. The chairs are set up, everything is there and ready to go. Parking is a bit of a problem there, but lots of things go on there, and they all seem to be able to park, and handicap seems to be fine. There are handicap spaces there in the front.
How many? I don't, what members are going to know that, but I'm not saying we shouldn't meet there. I agree with what you're saying. It is superior in terms of sound system. I just want to make sure that we provide for people who are handicapped. When we were doing the candidate forums, people left because they got there a little late and they couldn't find a place to handicap, so they just left.
That was, there was also a back-to-school night that night.
Correct.
So, so staff wants a first and a second. Do we have our?
My first is Redlands High School. I mean, no, sir.
Okay,
My first choice would be the high school, second would be David Brown Middle School.
But the David A. Brown didn't have a microphone.
That's the second choice.
I don't know where else we would go with the microphones.
What about you, Cheryl?
Elsinore High School is my first choice. What about, what was the situation at Ronald Reagan in terms of the microphones? Do we remember or do we know?
No microphone.
No microphone.
Well, we can just direct staff to have microphones for us, right? So, and then they will find them, they will beg, borrow, or steal. I mean, beg, borrow, or rent microphones.
Let's not let microphones stand in the way of what the council's decision is to be. We'll work something out.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I still have concern about the acoustics at David Brown because of the high ceiling, the cement walls.
Well, we can put some speakers in the back. Anyway, I hear Elsinore High is the first choice.
Yes.
And the second choice, David A. Brown, 1 vote. Two votes. I'm going to go ahead and say David A. Brown myself. So, accept David A. Brown as our second choice. And staff's going to come back and tell us if any of these things are infeasible, if the insurance is not there, and they're going to find microphones if there's a problem. So we need to start publishing these things. So as soon as we know, let's get the schedule out, put on the websites, and report to the Transition Ad Hoc Committee. I guess we're ready to start working on transition, and now there's a transition team from Interwest, so I think Cheryl and I need to meet with that team and see what's going on and see what they think, and they can hear what we think.
I have a question. Is anybody from staff going to give any information on that tonight, to your knowledge?
Chairman Cashman, I certainly can if the council would like.
Well, I think, okay, this will be a place for it.
Your transition team met today with the county's transition team. Most of the folks here in this room had an extremely cordial meeting and laid out some of the groundwork on a staff-to-staff basis, not an elected-to-an-elected basis, how that will proceed. We have a good understanding of where the information will go to, how they would like to receive the information, and your Public Works Director, Mike Kashiwagi, has a very detailed plan he's proposing to the county so that we're playing off the same sheet music. So it's a very cordial, very pleasant meeting today, and I think it would be a good idea for us to coordinate with your subcommittee on this and get a game plan to proceed forward immediately.
Okay, was that with the county executive office?
Yes, that was Gary Christmas was present, and we appreciated his presence there, as well as Mr. Wentz, the administrative staff that was there, and then our team. So I think we had a very easy meeting of minds. They did request that all information be funneled through the county exec's office. Well, we have no objection to that. Some of the more minor requests, though, that we'll still go ahead to Public Works, Engineering, other areas as you receive complaints, comments, concerns, we'll forward those along, but we will duplicate that so the county exec's office knows the request that we are making.
Any further thoughts, Cheryl? Okay, we look forward to meeting with the team.